Over to you, Arjun. You can start the session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
As I was mentioned, I am Arjun. I've been handling HRM for VRDDHI for the last 3 to 4 years. And first of all, before starting the session, let me ask you a question. Okay, feel free to answer. What is the influence of HRM or human resource department in your banks, or is it having any kind of a crucial impact over your career? Anybody? Are they influencing your career? HR department? Please interact.
Yes. HR department is having a very vital role.
How, sir? Can you give me a crux idea?
See, I'll tell you that the basic function of the HR is what to give you or to post you in to give you an opportunity to the right place in the right time to work.
Exactly.
To know about your capabilities, what best you can do, wherever who you are, in such kind of thing. But
Yes.
I don't know whether in banking scenario HR is having an appropriate role to play. In other industries they do have, I know that, but I don't know whether in banking sector I don't feel like HR is having.
They won't play.
They don't do their best of their role. They don't do the best part of their job because they don't analyze what is their function itself is, because they are not. The HR department itself is not an appropriate profession in HR. That is what the fact is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they might not be visible for the employees, but they will be included in the decision-making process of every bank.
Yes, but I feel like actually I'm saying about the public sector as well as the whole private sector. But when you're comparing with the Newgen banks, their HR is much more efficient,
effective,
exactly. Efficient. Yes, of course, because I have gone through all these scenarios.
Okay, you've been working in private banks too?
Yes.
Fine, that's cool, because you'll be having both experiences to be totally professional, totally it's a different experience after all, being a public sector bank as well as in the private sector bank. Yeah,
it's many things are just it's a matter of they're just showing off that something is there called HR, but actually that is not the proper way to go on with an HR function with respect to public sector bank or old generation private sector bank. That is it's totally rubbish there.
Okay.
I should say that. I'm sorry. I should say that.
No, it's your experience, because HR is all, we need to discuss about things, because right away stepping onto the questions and right away going to the concepts will not, make you involved in this session. So we need to discuss about things which you have experienced from your own job area or banks, whatever it is. Okay, so you can relate to examples. Whatever I discuss, you can relate with your own life experiences. That's quite important. Okay, thanks for this. Your name is Unni Achutan from Kerala?
Yes.
Okay, from which place, sir?
State Kerala.
Yeah. Where at Kerala?
Thrissur.
Okay. I'm basically from Palakkad. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
From which part of Palakkad?
Ottapalam.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. So let's. He was saying about his, experiences in HR with HR in his own banks, wherever he worked. So this is all about, HR is not about recruitment selection alone. Okay, that happens as a core area, but HR is involved in each and every sphere of your working atmosphere. Okay, it discusses about attitude. It talks about your job role description. Okay, your personality. Okay, then motivation and whatnot. All the personal things related to an employee, that is directly related with human resource department, human resource scenario in every organization, and that makes it so significant. and could be the only reason why you're learning such a syllabus in the exam, which is going to be coming within some days. Okay, so this is very important to be known. And Ajensa was just mentioning before, and you might feel it very light. When you read it, it will be very light to, you'll feel it light, but questions which comes totally twisting, and case studies will not be that direct. Then you need to pick up answers from in between the lines. So that makes it so important. That makes it so, and it is very easy to score marks. Just use your common sense as well as, your own experiences you can relate. So I plan to discuss some basic, or not the basic one, like important concepts which have been asked in this exam previously. Okay, so those basic and the most crucial or significant concepts I'll be discussing, and certain questions also. So because without having any knowledge about the concepts, you can't think of answering any questions. Okay, so I hope let's begin. Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. We'll be discussing all these kinds of, the coverage of today's session will be based on these ideas, okay, these concepts like HRD and its subsystem, training and development, and role and impact of training, attitude development, career path planning, and self-development. Okay, these are the main areas which is included in your syllabus. So we'll be discussing all about that. Okay. Human resource development, it's a kind of an organized learning experience in a definite period of time to increase the possibility of improving job performance growth. So HR is meant not only for recruitment and selection, as I just mentioned before. They are supposed to be acquiring the best talents, okay, the best cream from the public, recruit them, okay, select them, train them, and they are supposed to be trained in such a manner that they should be converted to an asset for the organization. Okay, it's like a raw material to a fine product. Every employee should be given adequate training, supervision, motivation. Okay, and that particular employee should be, they should be made into a strong asset for the organization. And that is all about human resource development. Human resource development. A culture should be developed in such a way that the capabilities, the potential of the employees should be improved, should be, encouraged as well as motivated, so that they'll be bringing out the best performance. So it's a teamwork, it's a collaboration of many things. Both the department, human resource department, as well as employees should be going hand in hand, so that it will be a teamwork where the full form of team, TEAM, okay, T together, E everyone, A achieve, M for more. Together, everyone achieve more. That is team. That should be achieved. Okay, that such a phenomenon should be achieved. So human resource department usually plays such a great job. It is not only for the development of the organization, it is also for the development of the career development of the employees too. So the planning should be in that such a manner. So human resource development is all based on that. As I was mentioning, to develop the capabilities of each employee as an individual, okay, they should be having in the relation with their present role as well as the previous one. Uh, what is expected should be really very clear for the employees, and there should be a clear and smooth relation, dyadic relationship between employees and his or her supervisor. Because when you don't find comfortable with your supervisor, your whole working situation, working atmosphere will be into, it won't be that smooth, that happy, that comfortable. So you should be having a good relationship with your supervisor as well. And team spirit, that should be maintained. And there should be, it's a kind of a collaboration of different units of the organization. So self renewing. Hello. Okay, self-renewing capabilities. It's your own capabilities. The employees' capabilities should be updated and renewed, and their full potential should be brought out. That is, these remains as the goals of human resource development. And systems developed to enhance achievement of HRD goals like training and development, performance appraisal, feedback and counseling, potential appraisal like career planning, etc., organizational development, and human resource information system. Actually, your syllabus is based on all these things. When you check out your textbook, okay, you will find concepts related to all the only this. Okay, training and development, performance appraisal, potential appraisal, career planning, OD, organizational development, human resource information system. And what are HRM subsystems? That is divided into three: administrative, maintenance, and developmental. Administrative, maintenance, and developmental. In administrative system of HRM, they will be handling with mostly with the administrative aspects of an organization, which is related, with the selection, recruitment, and all that. Okay, because and documentations basically, okay, administration of things which is related to employees, okay, their welfare, all that. Okay, that is related with administrative points. Developmental is in regards with the training, okay, the career development prospects as well as organizational development. Developmental things happening with relation to the employees. Okay, so what are the things can be done, which is improving the potential of the employees, how they can be trained. They will first analyze the weaker points of the employees. They will analyze who are the potential candidate employees as well as the weaker ones. Then what can be done? Okay, they cannot be sacked outright because it's easy to fire an employee, but it's very difficult to bring the good potential from him. So he or she should be given adequate training, and development should happen in that manner. And maintenance, it's a possibility because it's a maintenance of many aspects which should be supporting for both administrative as well as the developmental concepts of HRM. So it's not only an office work. HRM is never an office work alone. Okay, because they'll be handling many documents, systems. Obviously, yes, but still, mostly the HR functions are related with the personal aspects of an employee, his personality, his motivation, his the way he or she should be trained enough. Okay, it is basically things related with the personal aspects, and even the work and life balancing. Okay, even that is the point for HRM. because certain people will obviously concentrate on their working atmosphere, working situations, but they will compromise their family life, which will create another tension for them, stress for them, because they'll be compromising every aspects of their family life, and they'll concentrate only on the organization life, which will not be a successful thing to happen. Success will never attain because you are just ignoring your family and you're finding time only for your work, which will create a burnout situation. So that creates stress. That creates many other issues, mental issues, physical issues, all that. Okay. So what are the things that should be done to create a balance or an integration? Okay, for the employees to create a synergy for both their life, family life, as well as their organizational life. So HR is all about that. So think about it, because what are the things which they are handling. They should be preparing a database of their records, employees, their documents, everything. They should be thinking about the career development, training, all that, and they are also supposed to be maintaining many things which creates a suitable or a smooth situation for them to work on. So human resource management, human resource development, all that. Okay. That is this. That could be the only reason why this is considered to be the backbone. Since employees are the crucial part of every organization, these people are considered to be the backbone of every organization. HR department remains as a pillar for every organization, which feels the importance of employees, who thinks the employees as the crucial asset for them. Okay. Let me ask you a question, every one of you. See, be frank, okay? Don't tell me your name. Please be frank. Okay. How many of you are really very happy with the policies of your bank for the employees? It's a question to you. How many of you are happy, really very happy about the policies for the employees by your bank? Hello?
Sir, can you just check the chat box?
Hello, sir. Yes, ma'am.
You can say in percentage, sir.
I didn't get you. Come again.
So can you check the chat box?
I can read out some
Okay.
not happy, not some suggestions. Yes, sir. Yeah, these are some
Not happy.
not really.
Not
Yes.
really. Those people who said not really or not happy, can you can you just give me some reasons for that? Any reason so that you're not happy?
Hello, I'll come up
Yes, sir.
with
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
couple of points. I'll tell you that as I said earlier, many people I feel like I have also worked in nature
Huh.
for some time. What I find is many people are not even appropriately placed
Okay.
in the right roles. Not in just yet. I feel like in most of the time.
Hmm.
And the people who are appropriately placed are not even effectively utilized. I can say 100 reasons. I'm just mentioning a couple of things.
I get it. I get it. Because you feel that you're not placed for the right position, and those people
No,
who are
I'm not saying about I'm not saying about my.
generally,
Generally
yeah.
speaking,
Yes, yeah.
it's, as a general in a general way, I'm saying
Exactly.
that most of the people are not appropriately placed, and
Hmm.
even where people are appropriately placed are not able to be utilized.
Hmm.
Then, uh, you know, effective elevation process are not conducted year on year in many sites. many
Okay.
people who are
That speaks about your career even, right? Career
yes,
development.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. See,
So do you think that, do you feel that like
there
whatever
are
I spoke?
there are a
Hello?
lot of gaps. There are a lot of gaps going on in
Mhm.
the HR department with respect to the banking sector.
Okay.
I think that, as I said, I think the new generation banks and new generation companies are even effective in
Yes.
these kind of things.
Yes. Yes.
And most of the banks, I don't feel like most of the banks are having an appropriate HR policy itself, a board approved HR policy. And if
Yes.
a board approved HR policy is there, means they are not even strictly following by that policy.
Okay.
That's also I should say. That also I should
Yes.
say. So there should be a total revamp in this industry that these things has to be effectively, effectively taken into the line that, and RBI has to take upon these measures as well. These things are having a lot of gaps, my boss. I should
Mhm.
say that. So for the sake, there is a department. You give then what is the main thing you are going to do? This they are processing your salary. That is the month-on-month exercise. Then if some hiring happens, means they have some got job. They have some they have got some job. If some
Okay.
hiring happens, only if hiring happens, okay, then what is it? Settlement. What these are the things. These are the things generally happens within a time.
Maybe could be the reason why, if we are not happy, we cannot be so comfortable with customers, whomever comes to you. So there is a possibility to be rude with them also. That will create another problem. Okay, because without if organization doesn't consider their employees comfortably, they won't be happy. They can't pretend to be happy either, right? Those sincere employees.
Yes, they can't pretend to be happy, and another biggest disadvantage is they are not even in a they are not in a position of mindset to perform at least.
Obviously, yes.
I should not. I'm not saying that they should not about the outstanding performance. At least a decent minimum performance won't be
Minimum won't
happening
be
from
given.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, they won't be able to. They won't be able to. They will be
Yes.
totally desperate.
Yes.
So these are the things which has to be taken in this industry, which has to be seriously thought, which has to be taken by the regulatory and all.
Yes. So do you feel that
Yeah, of
whatever I
course.
spoke till now in the through the slides, okay, career development, whatever I spoke just now, is that
Hmm.
adequate and appropriate, right? Maintenance,
Of,
career.
of course. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's what, because this is the, especially during this COVID situation, I through Ajay sir, okay, I could realize, okay, what are the kinds of difficulties faced by an employee in a bank.
Hmm.
You're
Yeah.
having crucial hours because facing all these. I mean, you are supposed to be uh, really very careful because you need to work. You can't be
Yes.
in work at home situation for long
No, no,
because
no.
banks are supposed to be. And we in my own town, okay, I can see the crowd which
Yeah,
come. I
true,
mean,
true.
yes. So your health condition, your situation, everything should be very much taken care of. And if the banks doesn't, I mean, bring in some policies for that, it's quite unsafe either, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's something which is very
Because this
crucial.
banking always comes under essential services, no?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't shut it down for long either.
No, correct.
Yes, that's what
So these things has to be seriously
taken care of.
taken care of. I'm
Exactly.
I'm I'm not even I'm not saying just one bank, all the bank, all
Most
the
of it,
private and
most of it.
public,
Exactly.
most of them,
Yes. Yes.
except these newgen companies and newgen banks.
Yes.
They have a professional approach. I should say
Mhm.
that
Yes.
they have a professional approach. I should
Uh,
not another thing.
exactly. See, because why did we take this topic for discussion is that because questions have come, especially the case studies, are based on the situations which has happened in different organizations like this, like banks or either something else. So when we have a discussion like this, you can think of all these things and answer them. Okay,
Hmm.
even if there are options, you can think about it. So I'll bring in discussions like this in my sessions throughout. Okay,
Fine.
we'll step on the next one. Yeah, thank you. So next we'll talk about job and role analysis. Okay. Job and role analysis. What is job description? Job description means it records each and every aspect of the job required to be performed. This is description. Okay. Like what you're supposed to do. What you are supposed to do. That is job description. In a job, what is your performance criterion? What you're supposed or expected to be done. Okay. So that is job description, describing about the job. Next is job specifications. What are the specific requirements, list of requirements like skills, qualification, etc. for performing that particular job? Okay, I've been faculty for MBA students for the last 10 years. Okay, and most of them after the course, when they step onto a job, they come back to us saying that whatever you have taught regarding MS Excel, okay, Excel has come into practical application for them in the organization. Okay, when most of the companies use Excel as their basic software to work. Okay, and people who are very much well versed in Excel, they are outshining in their own industry, their own companies as well. So even that is a kind of a skill and qualification. Those specified list of requirements like skill, qualifications, etc. for performing the job is what we call as job specification. Third is job evaluation. Okay, job evaluation means used to compare two jobs within an organization or between organizations or even an industry. Evaluating the job. Okay, which has what is this job and what is that job? Okay, which needs more attention, which doesn't need more attention. So there is a categorization of jobs. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, fine, yeah. So this is a kind of an evaluate when simple concept of evaluation. It's a kind of a comparison between two jobs within an organization, within the same organization, or maybe between the organizations or between industries. Okay, so that is job evaluation. These three concepts are usually repeatedly asked in exams: job description, job specification, and job evaluation. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. In bank, there is no, I think, evaluation is not.
Evaluation
in
is
our
not
banks,
there, right? Exactly.
Yes. In our bank, I think in headquarters, in 20 years, they are still working in headquarters. They are not even single day for attending branch work.
So what's your name,
So
sir?
they are routinely working their office work.
So your name,
In
sir?
our bank. In our bank, some people are working in on head office for 20 years. There is no rotation, there is no transfer, there is no nothing is going on.
So that see, don't you get bored out of it?
Yes, what? Obviously.
Nothing
So
can be done.
there
And,
some people are working only branch work.
okay.
No rotation, no transfer, no nothing is going on.
Okay.
That
So your name?
My name is Sadish, sir.
We have met, sir. I think
Yeah.
session.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yes.
Your voice is very familiar. That's what.
Sadish is attending, is a student of our regular session. Yeah.
That's what. His voice is very familiar because I met him physically also.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Exactly. Yes, sir. Okay. So job description, job specification, and job evaluation. That is job and role analysis. And we'll discuss about certain concepts like task, job, position, role, and work. What is task? Task is the basic element of a job. What you are supposed to do. Okay, that is basic. And requires a person to achieve a specific product. Individual is isolated from others. Okay, task is making a difference from one person to another. What is the basic element of a job? What you are actually supposed to do. That is task. And job is something it's a complex system of tasks. Certain tasks combined together becomes a job. Okay, so here even the relationship is irrelevant. And third one, position. This puts an individual in a hierarchical position. Okay, senior manager, employee, like that. It's a hierarchy. It's a sequence from top management to the lower level employee. And role emphasizes on the pattern of mutual expectation. Mutual expectation. In every family, we have a role to play. Son, daughter, father, mother, everyone. And it's expected that a son and an elderly son, okay, he should be doing all these things. He should be, after a certain age, he should be going for work, earning money for the family, all that. That is the expectation of a family. Okay. In the same manner, in a bank or in an organization, a manager is supposed to be expected for doing many things. And that expectation is coming from the employees as well as the top management. Okay. For the top management, his role is to create a situation where it brings the most benefit for the organization. And for the employees, the same manager is expected to do certain things which are supporting them. So role is all about expectations. And the last one, work, goes a step further to encompass a socio-psychological relationship. Job and work. See, that sounds similar, but it has a different meaning either. Job is something which is mostly the combination of lot many tasks, but work, it has some kind of a socio-psychological relationship concept which is involved with it. Okay. See, it's something like, why is it told psychological or socio-psychological is that? See, I'm a teacher. Okay, I'm a teacher from the last some years. Okay, I don't need to tell that number again and again. Some years. Okay, it's not a big, period that I'm working as a teacher, but I'm happy in that profession. I'm happy in that profession because just only maybe my reason for being happy with my work is that I am becoming younger and younger each and every year because I am getting involved with the new generation, whomever comes next as a next batch to my institution. Okay, their ideas, their spirit, their all the energy what they bring in is also getting involved. I'm also getting involved with all that. So, and apart from that, teaching is a noble profession, which I like the most and which I consider as a passion. So, only if I'm satisfied with my job, I can work comfortably. Nobody can work in a bank. Nobody can work as a policeman. Nobody can work as a doctor if they are not liking the job, if they are not satisfied with the job. And somebody has said so intelligently, so thought-provokingly that don't ever love your organization, love your job. Okay, don't ever love your organization, love your job. Why? Because if you start loving your organization, okay, what will happen is if you are transferred to some other bank, some other organization, okay, in their different branch, you can't work in the same pattern. But if you love your job, not your organization, what will happen is wherever you have been promoted, wherever you have been transferred, you can work in the same energy, same performance, you can put it out. Okay, so that is important with work. So task, job, position, role, and work. Are you are you clear with the differences between each of them? Hello? I think it is clear. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So now stepping on to the training and development, role and impact of training. Okay. Training and development, this is involving the identification of training needs. See, if I ask you, you being employees of different banks, you know your own weak points. Okay, you're good at something, you're not good at something, and you realize that okay, fine. Why not I get a training in that area? Okay, maybe a new software which is implemented in your bank, maybe a new system which is implemented in your bank, anything. So rather than you identifying your needs for training, the bank or the organization where you're working for, they should identify that. Okay, this person or this group of employees needs training in that area, which will improve their performance. So that is the first point. Okay, identification of training needs. Number two, conducting the training. See, it is not just about identifying the training needs alone. It should be conducted. The training, appropriate training should be conducted. Okay, by bringing a third party or a trainer from outside, maybe. Okay, what is the training agenda and how it should be planned? All that involves. Okay, the decision should be coming from the top. Okay, what kind of training should be given? Who are the people to be trained? Who is conducting the training? All that. So that is all about conducting the training. The third one, evaluation of training. Okay, evaluation training. How effective is it? Okay, how effective is it after training? Has it created any kind of an impact? Okay, has it given any positive result? And obviously, the last one it involves about its selection and development of trainers. Who should be invited for training people? Okay, because the trainer, he or she should be selected so strategically that he should create a result after a session. Okay, if I take this session, okay, if I am dealing with HRM for you, after the session, you should be giving some kind of a takeaway. Okay, if you don't have any takeaway, it's meaningless. That the whole session is wasted. The time is wasted, and basically, it's all about choosing the right person, as he was mentioning. Unni sir was mentioning, because right person for the right job. That is not only related with HRM alone. The trainers also should be chosen wisely. Okay, trainers will be very much well versed in some area, and who should be training whom? Okay, who should be invited for which session? That should be planned. This is something which is important, very much involving in the training and development system of every organization. So identification of training needs, conducting the training, evaluation, and selection and development of trainers. And what is the purpose of training and development? Improved performance of individual, obviously, because when somebody is getting trained, okay, he will improve in his work. See, for example, when you have a dog, your pet dog, okay, your pet dog, and if you train that particular animal or your pet, okay, when training happens and when it is getting trained, what will happen is it will start doing its own activities in a much more comfortable manner. Okay, it's an improved performance. Fine. In the same manner, an employee, any even a robot, it's been trained. Okay, training creates a smoothened structure of atmosphere for whatever he or she does. Okay, it's an improved performance. So the major purpose of training and development is like improved performance of individual on his present job. Number two, his preparation for an identified job in a not too distant future. Okay, see, it's all about employees are always thinking about the future. If there is no career prospect, people won't be working for any organization for long. He'll just, when he or she will just switch on the companies, he will go to the next one, only aiming. See, salary is not the only thing. career future is always identified. Okay, so it's a kind of a preparation also. And if you learn a new skill, you can use it in the same organization, and you can also bargain when you go for a new employment in some other company. Okay, so get updated. Maybe the company will not train you, but you are supposed to be getting trained with new skills because that will increase your mileage. Okay, the third one, general growth. I just spoke about that, but not to be his or her general growth. Okay, not a specific job related growth. Generally, okay. Usually, language is a very big problem. Okay, most of us have a problem with speaking English. Okay, not only new generation, everyone, or most of the people. Okay, and people think that who can speak well in English, they can convince others. Okay, especially in an organizational scenario, they can convince others. So even that is a skill. Okay, it's a general skill, not related to a specific job. It's a general skill. Okay, knowing the most common software, getting well versed in that, it's a general skill. So it's a development. Having a development in that is something which is very crucial. Training, it's less just like learning related to the present job. Education, learning to prepare the individual for different but identified job. It's a general learning scenario. And development, learning for growth of the individual, not related to a specific or the present, futuristic learning. Okay, so this is the core purpose of training and development. How is an employee getting molded? Okay, fine tuned to be the best asset of the organization and to bring in a good future by generally developing his own profile. Okay, if you see a resume or if you see a biodata, okay, with some common things which is very common for all the candidates, it's very rare to get chances of recruitment. But a resume with lot many rare skills, which is very significant. Okay, new skills attained by the candidate. That person is likely having greater chances for getting appointed. Okay, so it's all about updation. Training and development is all about updation. Updation of his present job, thinking about the distant future, having development in his general skills, specific skills, all that. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. And we are supposed to be learning about learning theories. Again, learning theories. We have theories like mechanistic or behavioristic theories, cognitive theories, organismic theories. And mechanistic theory is also known as behaviorist theories. Here, hold that learner is passive in the learning process. Every input or stimulus will get a predetermined response. Okay. And learning occurs when a learner is conditioned to give the right response to a given stimulus. Right response to the right stimulus, given stimulus. It's, mechanistic. Okay. A machine is something which is having a layout. Okay. Predetermined layout. If something goes as a raw material, okay, this will come out as a final product, which is definite. In the same manner, a human being, if he is given with a particular kind of a stimulus, a particular kind of a, what should I say, Yes, exactly. Stimulus itself. Okay. Stimulus. He will give this kind of response. Okay. And it is predetermined. In the same manner, a learner with regard to the mechanistic theory or behavioristic theory, if this person is given such kind of a stimulus, he will respond in a particular manner. For example, if somebody is having, if somebody is told that if you do this kind of a job, okay, your salary will be increased. And thinking about a salary increase, what he will do is like he will work hard and get that work done. So it's just predetermined, most of that. Okay, so every input stimulus will get a predetermined response. And hello, okay. So the learner, it's all about learning. It's all about learning. Okay, it's like training a person, training any kind of a training. Okay, so it will whatever has been whatever is the stimulus, so should be the response. And learning occurs when a learner is conditioned to give the right response to a given stimulus. If a person is getting some kind of a external stimulus, he'll give a right away response to such a stimulus. That is a mechanistic or it becomes a behavior. Okay, if you're getting a stimulus continuously, and if you're giving response to the same thing in the same manner, it will become a behavior. That's the reason why it is told as mechanistic or behaviorist theory. And second theory is what we call as cognitive theory. Okay, equate man with his brain. Humans are capable of critical thinking and problem solving. Things, it's all about engaging the brain for critical thinking and problem solving. And people, human beings especially, are really very capable of critical thinking and problem solving. So it's cognitive theory speaks about when you have a synergy with your brain and your practices, this will create a better result. Okay. Purpose of learning is to teach the brain to engage in such critical thinking and problem solving. And it speaks about logic, it speaks about reasoning, all that. And cognitive theory is mainly relating with giving a connection between your brain and your capabilities. The messages from the brain, when it is getting trained to give a support for your critical thinking, things will get easier. So that is the crux of cognitive theory. Third one, organismic theories or humanistic theories. Here the learning occurs when learners have a freedom to learn what is particularly relevant to their personal life situation. Okay. Purpose of learning is to encourage each individual to develop his or her full potential or unique potential. Free to learn, freedom to learn. That is very important because when you are able to relate concepts to learn with what has happened in your life, that will create a huge impact because you have a chance to relate with each other, and you're free to think, you're free to choose. Okay, if all that happens, what will happen is if learning the pace of learning will be so fast. You will learn with examples from your own life, and this will bring in a huge potential, inner potential out, and which will improve the performance. This is not related to only with children alone. Any individual, okay, if you're getting, it's kind of you might be it's training sessions happens in two ways: on the job training as well as off the job training. Okay, off the job training is where you'll be getting stimulation situation. Okay, an artificial situation has been created, and you're supposed to get trained along with that. And on-the-job training is where you will get trained along with your work. So when concepts come together, which you can relate with your present situation, learning happens so easily. So there are three types: mechanistic theory, cognitive theory, as well as organistic theories. And variables associated with actual teaching or learning situation. Learning is enhanced when the learner is motivated, obviously. Okay, when you're motivated, when you're interested to learn, only then the learning happens. Learning requires feedback. Without a feedback, you can't understand, okay, how much you learned. Third one, reinforcement increases the likelihood that the learned behavior will be repeated. Okay, you're learning many things day to day. And if you're certain learned skills, if you apply it somewhere, and if you're getting a kind of a reward, what will happen is such a skill you will try repeating. Okay, when you for example, when you learn the new software, okay, and you apply it in your bank, in your work, okay, and most of your colleagues as well as your supervisor started appreciating you, okay, and through such a skill which you learned, you got a promotion. What will happen is you will get updated, you will get well versed in that particular skill, okay, because it has brought a reward for you. And reinforcement is such a phenomenon, only happens when there is a reward. Okay, it's a repeated behavior. And the third one, practice increases the learner's performance. I don't need to explain that, because when you practice something crucially, when you practice something very hard, it will become your part of your life. Okay, part of your life. So practice makes a man perfect. It's a well-renowned quote. Okay, so increasing your performance, practicing is something which is very important. And the last one, learning must be transferable to the job. See, you learn something, you have you have taken a course or a diploma, okay, and if you're not able to apply it to your job, that is useless. You lost your money either. Okay, every skill, any skill you learn, you're supposed to be, or you are expected to apply that skill to your job, which will bring much more reward. Okay, so these are the variables associated with the actual learning situation. Systematic approach to learning, SAT. Will the training be done internally or externally? How much and what kind of training will be done externally? And this is also also an essential part. Who are the functionaries responsible for administering the training system? Okay, it's an approach to learning. Okay, these three questions, when answered, will get you clear with SAT. Will the training be done internally or externally? Is it needed? Actually, is it needed? Identification of training. Number two, is it should be done internal level or external level? Okay, internal training means maybe the employees are getting trained by their supervisor or something like that. Or maybe external means they are taken to a different situation, and where external people come and they get trained for a new skill, all that. Second one, how much and what kind of training will be done externally? Okay, what kind of training? Is that adequate? Is it essential? Okay, all that. And is it actually benefiting? Third one, who are the functionaries responsible for administering the training system? Who does it? Basically, who is responsible for administering? And this is basically the system or an approach to learning. Most of the organizations have an approach for their learning purpose. And this organization does this just to improve their employees in order to, so that they will perform better. We have a process in SAT, systematic approach to training. Training need analysis and identification of training needs, preparation of a training plan, conduct of the training, evaluation of the training program and the plan, SAT, systematic approach to training. Systematic approach to training. When the employees are supposed to be given training, the organization should have a systematic approach regarding the training program. This is the process. Hello. Can you please unmute or mute yourself? Hello. 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 Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. SAT, systematic approach to training. What happens in systematic approach in training? The process, okay? First of all, an organization should identify what kind of training is to be given. Okay, so that is training need analysis, TNA. Okay, training need analysis and identification of training needs. Who needs training? What kind of training is to be done? All that. So that is the first phase in the SAT process, systematic approach to training process. Okay, and once the first step is over, like identification of training needs is over, next, obviously, second is like preparation of a training plan. There should be a clear-cut planning. Okay, what should be done? When should training happen? A proper plan should be made. Okay, that is the second one, preparation of a training plan. Okay, the plan is done. Plan is being prepared. Third one, conduct of the training, including the designing of the program. Okay, all that should be designed, well defined, all that. Conducting the training. Okay. Next is like evaluation of the training program and the plan. Reaction level, learning level, behavioral level, functioning level. Okay, what has happened? What is the kind of situations the employees have passed on? Okay, and the things which is whatever the things which are supposed to be evaluated. Okay, what is the kind of feedback? Is there any kind of a result which has happened? Okay, reaction, learning, behavior, functioning, everything. So that is all about the evaluation of the training program and the plan. And once it is done, next is to select and develop the trainers who are supposed to be doing all this. Okay, so till the third, fourth level, the internal things relating to the training program has been done. And nextly, we will select and develop the trainers. And thereafter, the training really happens. Okay, selection and development of trainers.
Sir, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I'm Ramesh. Sir, the selection of training should trainer should be done in the beginning, no?
Expected question. See, you'll have a confusion like this because, as I was just mentioning, the first 4 levels, okay, those that that's a kind of an initial planning by the organization. Okay. For example, it's like a marriage happening in your family. Hmm? For example, you will decide internally in your home with your family members that what are all the things which we really need for our marriage. Okay. And every plan has been done. Am I right?
Okay, sir.
Then what will happen is you will contact a event management team and tell them that these are the things which we are in need of. Okay. And then what they will do is like they will execute your plans. Is that not what they do?
Right, sir.
And in the same manner, in this criteria, I mean, in this SAT process, the first 4 levels are just based on your internal things, and trainer selection happen the last, which will they will implement what are your, because they doesn't know what are your needs. Okay, because every organization is different from each other, and every organization is different from each other because their working level, their work, leadership style, functioning, everything is different. So only you people or the organization as internally only know what is the real need of, what is the real training needed. The things happen for the first 4 phases. Okay, they will, that is the preparation, and next, lastly, they select the trainers and the process continues. Support system for training and development. Okay. Training and development. Training happens when somebody is identified with some rectification, somebody is identified with some weaker points. Okay, all that. So he or she should be trained enough. And development is not only for the organization, and it's also for the employees. So basically, support system should be existing for the training and development system for every organization. And those 3 are performance appraisal system, human resource information system, organizational culture. Performance appraisal system is where an employee's performance has been evaluated, analyzed, etc. Okay, and through different techniques, they give a clear-cut idea for the employee himself that what is the stage where he or she is standing. Okay, like what is the expected level of performance and what is the real performance. There should be an obvious gap between the real performance as well as the expected. So in real terms, performance appraisal is the gap identification process. What is happening and what is expected. So different techniques, it's both traditional as well as modern. Okay, we have, if you have time, we'll discuss all that. So performance appraisal system is where it's a screening process. Okay, it's a screen where the employee will identify his or her positives and negatives. Where does he need training? Okay, it can be the supervisor or a third party who will conduct the performance appraisal system. Even there is a new system which has been used as a technique for performance appraisal system. It's like 360-degree appraisal, where even the customers as well as all the stakeholders, okay, they will give an analysis regarding the employee's performance. So appraising the performance of the employee through analyzing his real content, real potential. And when you analyze the real performance of the employee, you can identify which are the areas where he or she should be trained. So that is the first support system for training and development, performance appraisal system. Number 2, human resource information system. Okay, it's a database about every information regarding the employee, so that the training and development can be done based on all the information which you already have through the database, through the HRIS, Human Resource Information System, all the information system regarding the human resource. Okay, when you have a clear idea, clear information about each and every employee through human resource information system, training is easier because you can identify which are the areas he or she should be trained. And the performance appraisal system will bring in or bring out many results, many analysis. And all these analysis will be documented in human resource information system, which is really helpful for the training and development. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the last one, organizational culture. Obviously culture, because the culture of every organization is very crucial. There might be a very friendly atmosphere, very we speak about different cultures, maybe only production oriented, employee friendly. Okay, both might exist. Okay, the culture which has been followed by the organization, it is also very supportive for the training and development, because learning or getting trained happens not only in an artificial situation. It happens by the work itself. Okay, so the culture which has been followed by the organization will create a huge impact in the employee's performance. And the third concept is attitude. Attitude is the persistent tendency to feel and behave in a particular way towards something. Okay, persistent tendency. It persists, it exists to feel and behave in a particular way. This, okay, there are people, we have attitude towards everything, everything. Okay, it's our perception, okay, our feel and our way of behavior towards anything. Okay, towards anything, towards any object, toward every person or every object, whatever it is, we have an attitude. And the characteristics are until and unless something has happened to change it, the attitude remains the same. Okay, because for example, if you saw a person, okay, if you saw a person for the first time, okay, you will have a judgment. You haven't even spoken a single word to that person. Okay, before that itself, we have created an attitude. Fine, he seems to be very, he's not a good person. It's your perception. Okay, without knowing anything, you'll create an attitude. Okay, he's very new generation. He's very young, but doesn't seem like a good person. It's your perception. Okay, and it's an attitude. And this, when you're supposed to deal with him, okay, you will behave in this same attitude with that person. And if something happens and you will realize yourself that, okay, he's not a person which I thought before, he's a good man, okay, fine, I should change my attitude. That is a realization. But until that happens, you won't change your attitude. So it remains, or it tends to persist. So second characteristic is like can fall anywhere in the continuum, for very favorable to very unfavorable. It can positive or negative, favorable or unfavorable. It can be. Attitude can be negative or positive, favorable or unfavorable. It's all about the perception, belief, and feelings, emotions, okay, prejudiced mindset, anything. Okay. For example, you saw me for the first time, okay, through this video. If just I was just opening my video, okay, and you saw me through the screen. Most of you will be having a kind of perception towards me. Okay, most of you who are seeing me for the first time, most of you will be having a kind of an attitude, and you will have the same attitude throughout until or unless till something happens to change this attitude. Okay, that is the most crucial part of every attitude. It tends to persist. The components of attitude is like emotional component, informational component, and behavioral component. Emotional component is like positive, negative, okay, your own emotions, your own feelings. Fine. Your own feelings will create an attitude. Your own emotions will create an attitude. It can be positive, neutral, or negative. Number two, information component. Information component means you know something about that particular person or that particular object which has created that attitude. Okay. Usually founded on insufficient. See, whatever you know about that person or that product or an object might not be the truthful one or the fullest one. So whatever little you know, okay, you'll create an attitude, and that is information component. The information will create an attitude. Third one, behavioral component, the most important or the sensitive part. Person's tendency to behave in a particular way towards the object. Okay, it's like a matrimony site. Okay. You'll see the what should I say, the boys or the girl's photo in the matrimony site. Okay, and you'll read his or her profile, and you'll have a judgment. Okay, this person, this will suit a family. Okay, this will suit my daughter or my son. You'll create a judgment, which can be positive or negative. And after some days, okay, this same person, the boy or whomever it is, okay, you have a chance to meet that person. Okay. Then after speaking to him and after having an experience with that person, your attitude might change. That is behavioral component. After having a behavior, you will realize something has happened. Okay. So there are three components: emotional, information, as well as behavioral. And significance of attitude at workplace: adjustment function, ego defensive function, value expression, and knowledge. Adjustment function means it helps the people to adjust to their work environment. Adjusting to the work environment. Second one, ego defensive. Help people to defend their self-image. Okay, everyone will be having a self-image, and people find all the ways to defend their self-image. The third one, value expression. Okay, every employee will be having their own values. Okay, then there is people find opportunities to express their values. Okay, and they will always have values with some ethical points also. So value expression function. Your attitude will be the reflection of your own values, your own ethics. And the last one, knowledge function. Here the help supply standards and frames of reference that allow people to organize and explain the world around them. Regardless of how accurate a person's view of reality is, attitude toward people, event, and objects impact the sense the individual makes out what is going on. Knowledge function. Okay, it's all about the real content or the real knowledge a person is having. Okay, this will create an attitude. This will create a huge impact on his behavior. So, adjusting to the situation, ego defensive function, expressing of the values, knowledge function. These are the things which is very significant regarding the attitude in your workplace, in your working environment. Changing attitudes, which can happen. Okay, barriers to attitude change. Barriers means the headblocks to change an attitude. Prior commitment to a particular thing, and insufficient information. What creates a block to change your attitude? See, if attitude is to be changed, it should be changed. Okay, because if you don't change your attitude, unless and until something negative or positive happens, if you are not ready, this will create a head block to your performance or your growth either. So if you are supposed to change your attitude, you are supposed to. Okay, it is good for the career development as well. And what are the main barriers? The first one is like commitment. Okay, you're already committed to have an okay. This you have committed to that particular person or particular object. This will create a kind of okay. You are not ready to change your attitude, and this won't help you a lot. Second one, insufficient information. You are not sufficient with your information about the particular object or that particular person, and without having a sufficient information, you are still not ready to change your attitude. That is again creating hell a lot of problems. Second one, overcoming the barriers. What can be done to overcome the barriers to attitude? Okay, use of fear. What does it mean? Okay, certain organization does this. They will inculcate a kind of fearful situation. Okay, if you don't change this attitude, you'll be fired. You'll be thrown out of this company. So out of fear, what will happen is the employee will start changing his, and even if his mind doesn't have any comfort in changing it, you'll be fearful. Okay, the consequences, you'll change. Number two, second barrier, overcoming the barrier to attitude changes, like provide a new information, because I already told insufficient information. That's creating a barrier. So they will provide new information which will convince you to change the attitude. Third one, resolving discrepancies between attitude and behavior. There shouldn't be any maximum differences should be eliminated, or it should be removed. Discrepancies should be removed or resolved. Okay, then attitude change will gradually happen. Fourth one, influence of peers, your friends, your opinion leaders, your own colleagues, your peers, whatever it is, whomever it is. If they are influential to you, if all of them gives you a better inputs to you to change your attitude, gradually there is a change. Okay. And the last one, co-opting, getting the dissatisfied people involved in the improvement process. It's a teamwork. Okay, getting the dissatisfied people involved in the improvement process. There is a change attitude needed, and those people who are dissatisfied, they will have a coordination, and they will discuss and have a change in attitude. Next concept is career path planning. The idea behind career path planning is like individuals desire and expect change at certain stages in life. Obviously, yes. For 8 years or 10 years together, okay, being in the same position as a lower level employee, nobody will be satisfied. And everybody will be desiring, okay, for a better life, better career. So the career path planning is something which is, it is predictable. Yes, it is predictable, but much desirable. There is a predictable pattern in these changes. And there is a feeling of frustration if things do not happen as desired. Okay, people get demotivated. People get frustrated. Okay, because if you're not your promotion is expected. For example, your promotion is expected within 2 years of time. Okay, as a career growth. And if you don't get a promotion after 4 years, also, no need to go for 4 years. After 2 years also you didn't get a promotion, you'll start getting frustrated. Okay. So that happens. Naturally that happens because career path is something everybody is desired for. Okay, it's an expectation. It's a kind of a motivation for every employee. So they will work for having the career path really encouraging, really, challenging as well, which will create a good result also. But even after working hard, even after working sincerely and comfortably, and if you're not having any progress or any growth in your career, this will demotivate the employees. This will bring in frustration. This will bring in stress. And even they might leave the company and go for the next. Life adulthood stages, adolescence, young adulthood, and maturity. Adolescence, you already know. Okay. Individual's development is to achieve an ego identity, a reconciliation process of what he perceives himself to be and what he thinks others perceive him to be, and make adjusted assessment to form his identity. What he thinks of himself and what others think about him. That is ego, a self-identity. Okay, there are chances for the person to have a change in his own personality just because of others. Okay, the perception might change. So that is a crucial period. Adolescence is the period where there is a kind of a confusion. There is a kind of a conflict between for achieving a stable identity of oneself at adolescent age. Okay. Next is young adulthood. Starts developing a relationship with individuals, groups, or occupation. Adulthood, young adulthood. That is a stage where people start working, most of them. Okay. They will develop relationship and they will start occupying a position in the formal or informal groups. Third one, adulthood. You know what is that already? Guiding the next generation. You are supposed to be passing on the knowledge, values, and sponsoring the younger colleagues. Okay. You're supposed to be a kind of a role model for others. It's an adulthood situation. Maturity is the next stage. Person attempts to achieve ego integrity by examining whether life has been meaningful or satisfying. It's a realization stage, maturity. You will think logically, you will think, you'll analyze your own life, examining whether it has been meaningful or satisfying. So these are the life adulthood stages: adolescence, young adulthood, maturity. These are the career roles: apprentice, colleague, mentors, and sponsors. Apprentice is the beginning of career. Does routine work under the supervision of a mentor? You'll be having a mentor and you'll do all those routine works. Third one is like needs to accumulate, it's a dependent level. You're supposed to be depending for everything, whatever you do to your superior. Colleague is the next career role. Beginning of making independent contribution. You will start giving independent and individual contribution. And you'll be less dependent on your supervisors for advice or direction. Mentors. Beginning of complex functions. Certain complex functions, okay. Mentors are meant for giving directions. Okay, they will develop ideas, they will manage others, and must learn to assume responsibilities for your subordinates' work. Okay, you're supposed to be guiding others where you become mentors. And the last one, sponsors. It's something a broader perspective and a long-term one. Okay. and you'll be the major part of your organization, and you can be a guiding light for the for the others. You'll be taken as a responsible role, and you will be having the capability to choose the right person for the organization. You'll It's a broader perspective. You'll be in a better position in that area. Okay, in that concept of sponsors. So career roles in the company like apprentice, colleague, mentors, and sponsors. Career path. When these movements are predetermined in a logical sequence to enable an individual to have knowledge of all the activities, okay, of the organization, different perspectives of management and different level of management, it could be said that the organization has developed a career path. I will repeat it again. When these movements are predetermined in a logical sequence to enable an individual to have a knowledge of all the activities, every activities of an organization, the person should be knowing enough. Okay. Different perspectives of the management, the what are the different policies and framework for the management and the levels of management. Okay, what is the hierarchy which is being followed? It could be said that the organization has developed a career path. With an established career path planning subsystem, the company can have a continuous supply of individuals with required capabilities. It's a sequential order from the top to the bottom. Okay, horizontally as well as vertically. It's a structure of an organization. It's actually known as career path, where the selection process, everything can happen in a continuous system, so that a supply of individuals with required capabilities for future roles can also happen. So it's a structured path, career path from the top to the bottom, which has been framed by the organization, which will make an individual or enable an individual to have a knowledge of all the activities of the organization, different perspectives of the management and different level of management. That is what we call as career path. Components of career anchors. Self-perception of talents and abilities of one's performance. One's own performance, perception of one's own performance, talents and abilities. Number two, self-perceived motives and needs based on self-diagnosis and feedback. You're supposed to be diagnosing yourself. You're supposed to be giving feedback for yourself so that you will analyze where do you really stand. The third one, self-perceived attitudes and value based on interactions with norms and values. Your own values, your own interactions, your own norms, everything, those are perceived actually. Okay, so these three things, okay, perceived talents and abilities, perceived motives and needs, and perceived attitude and values. These are the components of career anchors. And career path planning process. Define the career stages in relation to the organization levels. Define the career stages in relation to the organizational levels. Number two, identify the core jobs at each level. Once it is defined, next is to identify the core jobs at each level. Third one, define and spell out the criteria for each successful level. A criteria should be defined. Okay, regarding planning for the career path, a criteria should be defined for each successive level. And the last one, placement for the next career role. Okay, the next career role should be placed right after defining all these criteria. Placement for the next career role. Self-development. Self-development has two things to be discussed on: patent self as well as inner self. External self, patent self means external self comprising individual's identity and physical features. External, which is visible for others. Okay, physical features as well as individual's identity. Inner self is something which is mostly psychological. Okay, what is within the employee, sorry, within the person. And the self-development essentially refers to developing a mature personality who can handle different tasks and situations with a comparative ease. So for knowing one's personality, that is very important. So patent self as well as inner self. Patent self, what is known to others. Inner self, which is creating a kind of, which not creating, which is the real in-depth personality, or what is psychologically the person is. Okay, it includes the strengths, weakness, everything. So patent self as well as inner self. So the aspects of self-development in relation to an organization, individual level, interpersonal level, as well as group level. Motivational pattern, locus of control, power bases, interpersonal level, interpersonal needs, transaction analysis. Third one is group level, being effective member in the group. These are the motivational patterns for today's employees. Educated parents, knowledge of computer related frauds, educated friends, educated with technical background, computer savvy, uses technology and mobile phones, wants to buy a car, house when young, has credit cards and spends money, changes jobs easily and quickly. Friends also changes job. Okay, better exposed to outside world. All these things will motivate an employee. This is a very common thing which is happening for every one of us. And the first one, locus of control. This comes in individual level. Aspects of self-development in relation to an organization. Locus of control is the second one. Belief of an individual about who is responsible for what happens in life. For example, types, external locus of control. Believe that events are determined by external forces like society, luck, and destiny. What has happened to me is not because of my performance. It has happened due to the society. It has happened due to luck. It has happened due to destiny. That is external locus of control. Everything is, a person believes that whatever happens in life is due to external factors. Second one, internal locus of control. Believe individuals can determine events. Okay, whatever happens to me is just because of my hard work, my feelings, my emotions, and all that. Okay, so that is internal locus of control. And motivation has to come from within for real growth. Internal locus of control ensures growth. External means external locus of control thing. The people believe that I don't have any control for whatever happens in my life. Whereas internal locus of control, people have a belief that whatever happens in my life, I am the person who's responsible. So that kind of a attitude should be created. Power basis. Power. A person's potential to get others do what he or she wants them to do. Okay, it's basically a leader should be having some kind of a power base, because if he or she wishes some other persons to do something, you are supposed to insert some kind of a power. Types are causative basis, organizational position, punishment, charisma, personal relationship, closeness to a source of power, withholding information on resources, etc. Coercive power means your position, your punishment, your authority to punish someone, your charisma, your relationship, personal relationship, such things which an employee cannot control, okay, which an employee cannot influence. You are just able to manage, or you are just having a power just because you hold a position in your organization. You have an authority to punish your personal relationship, just that. That is coercive basis of power. Since you are the manager, people are obeying you. Okay, not because you're good, not because you're an expert in that. Such a position, your charisma, your source of power, all that is what we call as coercive basis. Number two, persuasive basis. Persuasive basis means certain people are there in every organization who will be an expert in a particular area, but he won't be a person who will be having a good position in the company. But everyone will take the support of that person, and he'll be having a good persuasive power. Since he's an expert, since he is very competent, he'll be having a persuasive power base. So there are two types, coercive basis as well as persuasive basis. And the third type is interpersonal interactions, dyadic relationship. In organizations, most of the situations imply interacting with and influencing others. Dyad. Two individuals maintaining a sociologically significant relationship. Underlying concepts is like interpersonal needs and interpersonal interaction. See, interpersonal relationship is very, very important for every organization. A sociologically significant relationship. It's not about competing with each other alone. They are supposed to be having a good relationship with each other, so that if you really want to be working as a team, you're supposed to be having a good relationship, good interpersonal interaction. So maintaining such a team is very good for the organization. Human resource department usually takes care of that. And interpersonal needs within the employees. Okay, that is very important. And interpersonal interaction, which we'll learn just after this. Transaction analysis. Interpersonal needs. What are the needs of a person? Need for inclusion, need for control, need to control, need for affection. Need for inclusion means to establish and maintain a satisfactory relationship with people with respect to interaction and association. Okay, have a good relationship with people, to have an interaction as well as association. Number two, need to control. Psychologically, to establish and maintain satisfactory relationship include psychologically comfortable relationship in controlling all behavior of other people. And needs for affection. Obviously, we need to get affection from others, because you should be. It's not about having power alone. You're supposed to be having a good relationship. So, need for inclusion, need to control, and need for affection. These are the interpersonal needs, which is very much important for the interpersonal interactions also. And transaction analysis is the next concept here. We have ego states, consistent pattern of feeling and experience directly related to a corresponding consistent pattern of behavior. There are three types of ego states regarding a person: parent ego, adult ego, and child ego. Parent ego regulates behavior and nurtures it. You'll be behaving like your parent. Okay, influencing. You'll be having this kind of a behavior which you've been transferred from your own elders or your parents. Even if you are young, you will at certain times you will behave in a parent ego situation. Okay, and second one, adult ego. Adult ego situation where you will have a rational and analytical, practical orientation. You'll behave very logically, okay, and you'll collect all the information possible, and then you'll behave. You won't just shout at people without any reason, nothing like that. You'll be having a mature behavior. Whereas in the child ego state, you're very curious, you're very anxious. It's like a child behaving in a situation. Okay, you'll enjoy to the core, you'll shout to the core. It's like children behaving in different situation. If he is happy, he'll be happy to the core. If he is angry, he'll be shouting to the core, like that. So parent, child, and adult. So these are the three things ego states regarding transaction analysis: consistent pattern of feeling. And see these three ego states, like parent, adult, and child, this might change uh, when situation changes. Okay, there are times when the same person, will behave in a parent situation. You might behave in an adult situation, and you might change in a child ego situation also. This will differ according to situations. According to TA, types of transactions. We have certain types of transactions: complementary, crossed, angular, and duplex. Complementary means most desirable, okay, because when you complement each other, which is very much welcomed by people. Crossed transaction means when you give a comment or an argument which is not that desirable by the others. Angular and duplex. Angular situation, it's something like giving an angle, giving an idea to the people, giving clean and clear suggestion, clean and clear defined module, defined information for the other, which will be a clear-cut justification for your suggestion or your conversation. And duplex is something like giving a kind of a gentleman deal with others. It's mostly the complementary level. You'll be really very supportive to others. You'll be having kind of things which the people would like to hear from you. So the types of transactions like complementary, cross, angular, and duplex, which is very, very much significant regarding transaction analysis. And the next concept is in transaction analysis is life positions. Life positions. I am okay, you are okay. I am okay, you are not okay. I am not okay, you are okay. I am not okay, you are also not okay. I am okay, you are okay, and they are not okay. Look at it, okay. I am okay, you are okay. Fine, very good. Ideal situation. Both are having a win-win situation. Number two, I am okay, but you are not okay. Okay, I am perfect, no problem. I'm doing it right, but you are not that. you're not doing it right. You're not okay. The third one, I am not okay because whatever it is not that good, not okay, but you are okay. Whatever you do is good, very good, you're right. The next one, both are not okay. I'm not okay, and even you are not okay. Okay, because both of us are not doing it right. And the last one, I am okay and you're also okay, but they are not. This is the situation which everyone deals every day. I am okay, you're okay. Life positions. It's all about pretending. It's all about pretending about one's own way of doing things and perception of others. So mostly the first ideal situation, I am okay or okay, that is most desirable and that is the most ideal situation. Working in teams. Team. A group of people with high degree of interdependence geared towards the achievement of a goal or the completion of a task. Team, I already had mentioned in the beginning. Together, everyone achieve more. It is togetherness. It's a degree of interdependence for achieving something, achieving a goal. Team is something like it's such a group of people who join together for a common purpose. And group dynamics, internal nature of group, how they form, their structure and processes, how they function and affect individuals in organization. Okay, group also is for a purpose. What is the nature of the group? How they formed? What are the criteria for forming a group? What is the structure of a group? Is there a leader? Is there a follower? Whatever it is. And the process followed by the group. And how they function. And what is the impact of that group in an organization? So this differs. Group dynamics means changing ones. Group dynamics, this will change. This will be differing for each and every group as well. And the stages of group formation, how a group is being formed. Forming, storming, norming, confirming, performing, and the last one, adjourning. That's not shown here. Forming means members with varied awareness get acquainted, get together, understand the team's goal and its role. It's a formation of a group. Okay. Formation of a group. Next is storming. A conflict will be injected. Conflict among the members helps the team defining itself. After a conflict within the group, they will have a refining of what is the actual thing to be done. After storming, it will go to the next stage called norming. How will the task be accomplished? What should be done? So what roles and regulations will be formed? They'll be having a cooperation with each other. And once it is done, once the roles and regulations have been formed, next is confirming. Adjusting with one another for the team expectation. Confirming, adjusting with each other. And right after that, it is all about performing. Based on all these four basement of forming a group, they will perform. And once the goal has been achieved or acquainted, after performing, the next stage is adjourning. Adjourning means dismantling. Group is being dismantled. Okay. So forming, storming, norming, confirming, and adjourning. Confirming, performing, and adjourning. So awareness, conflict, cooperation, adjustment, productivity. Self-awareness. Self-awareness, understanding self helps in the process of self-development. Johari Winter, that is not there in your syllabus, but they're supposed to be known. The one more knows oneself, the better equipped he is to face challenges. Okay, there is a kind of a window. Known to others, known to others, not known to others, known to self, and not known to self. There are things which you know about yourself. There are things which others know about yourself. There are things which are not known to you, as well as there are things which nobody knows about you. Okay, blind, arena, closed and dark. This is there for everyone. So when you start knowing yourself better and better, when you realize your own potential, when you realize the real you inside you, this will bring more self-development possibilities. So try knowing about yourself. It's possible through many methods. Psychology, we used to talk about all these things.
Arjun, 1 minute. TV Pavani, can you switch off your video? TV Pavani? TV Pavani, can you switch off your video, please? TV Pavani, can you switch off your video? Yeah.
Sir, hello.
Thank you, Arjun. Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
yes, it's okay, it's okay. So as I was just mentioning, self-awareness, known to others, known to not known to others, known to self and not known to self. You have already, you might be, you might heard the situation, emotional intelligence. Abilities such as being able to motivate oneself and persist in face of frustration, to control impulse and delay gratification, to regulate one's moods and keep away distress from swamping, the ability to think, to empathize and to hope. Unlike, see, IQ is the intelligence quotient. It's all about the logical and it's all about intelligence. But emotional quotient is something which is very important, because artificial intelligence you already know, but emotional intelligence is something which, when somebody is an expert in this, somebody is a well-versed person in emotional intelligence management, he can, it's like controlling ourselves. Okay, when person is able to motivate oneself, okay, and he can control his feelings, emotions, moods, okay, all that, empathize for others, you can have a complete control among yourself. See, the reality is that most people find it really difficult to control themselves. They are able to control others, but they are not able to control themselves, their feelings, their emotions, everything. So emotional intelligence is the complete knowledge of one's own emotions, one's own, self. So EQ is the need of the hour. So personality, learning personality is okay, fine, important, significant, okay, fine. But when you're able to control your emotions and regulate them according to your situations in life, that will bring in much more performance, much more productivity. There are 5 components here: self-awareness, self-regulation, self-motivation, empathy, and social skills. Self-awareness means ability to recognize one's mood, emotion, drives, etc. So think of your manager. If he is able to recognize your mood, your emotion, your drive, etc., he can make you perform well. He can give you much support so that you can perform well. Self-regulation, ability to control or redirect disruptive impulses and mood, and propensity to suspend judgment. Think before acting. If you get angry, what will happen is you don't have the control about your emotions. You will act the way you feel like, which will have a very negative consequence. And self-regulation here is where you are able to control yourself, your impulses, your moods. Okay, so that this will happen. This can only happen through mind control, etc. Third is self-motivation. The reality is that nobody else can motivate a person until he or she does it. There is a limit for every other external component to motivate. If a person is self-motivated, the passion ignites. He will pursue the goals. Most of the successful people around us are self-motivated. Fourth one is empathy. Empathy means ability to understand the emotional makeup of others and skill to treat people according to their emotional reaction. Empathy means replacing yourself in the place of others. See, if you're seeing a person who's not in a good condition, okay, emotionally also, whatever it is, if you're able to place yourself in the place of that person, sympathy is something different. Sympathy means, oh, fine, oh my God, it shouldn't have happened to that person. That is sympathy. If I were in that situation, what will be my feeling? This is empathy. Okay, so acting accordingly, empathetically, that's something that is treating. This is the real respect which you give to others. So usually we expect our superiors to act empathetically, not sympathetically. Social skills is the next one. Proficiency in managing relationship and building networks and ability to find common ground and building rapport. Social skills, okay? It's not about communicating. It's building networks, building a relationship. Okay, you should be accepted by all the others. That is social skills. Through your communication, through your way you behave, everything, you should be having a place in the minds of others. That is the actual social skill. Morale. The morale denotes a spirit of dedication to a common goal that unites the group. It's nowadays it's called as wavelength. Okay, you'll accept a person as your friend only if he or she have the same principle, same kind of attitude which you have. Okay, the mental condition, the emotional condition. Okay, if he or she is able to think the same way as you are thinking, that is creating a group. Actually, high morale translates into positive motivation, increased productivity, exceeding expectations. So morale is something, it's a kind of a discipline, it's a kind of a common dedication from a group. Okay, it will increase expectations also. Everybody should be having a morale either, because morale will guide you positively. What are the employee morale boosters? Welcome the ideas from them. Okay, you are supposed to welcome the ideas with them. If your suggestion is taken by the management and accepted by the management, you're very happy. It's a recognition actually. Keep score. Whatever you do, they will keep a score of it. This will create if you're monitored, you'll perform well, you'll have a morale although. Inspect you. But somebody is there to, it's like a surveillance camera. Okay, your morale will be boosted. Next is thank you notes. See, if something you would do something for others and if they give you a thank you note, that is more than enough. Hurdles. There should be an achievable hurdles, or overcome hurdles which you can overcome also. Okay, there should be some kind of challenges in between, which will create a morale. Open up. It shouldn't be a closed room or closed door, okay? Because you should be open up, and if there is a chance for you to open up, you'll have a better morale. Having fun without limit, with limit, okay? Without limit, it's creating distraction, but having fun with limits. Show charity, adding perks to your salary, incentives, etc. Firing the staff. Yes, it is very, very much needed, because if if it is done, if somebody is fired due to some kind of a misconduct or misbehavior, this will create a role or a morale for the others to follow and measure it. The morale should be always, it's always increased when something is there to measure. So these are the employee morale boosters. Hello, sir.
Hello, Arjun.
Sir.
Yeah.
Like
anything?
it's 12. So like, should I continue
Yeah.
or?
No. What's the status now? Were you able to cover the portions?
Most of it, sir. Most of it.
What's
I didn't
remaining?
I didn't go in detail of it. But,
No,
but
detail in the sense.
yes, sir.
Those have you gone in detail of those relevant portions?
Yeah, that's what relevant portions I did, sir. That's what.
Okay, TA and all you were able to give in depth.
Yes, sir.
knowledge.
I could. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very important session.
Exactly,
Important
sir.
part.
Yes,
That's a very
yes, yes, sir.
then
Yes, sir.
motivation.
Sir, motivation theories I couldn't do it because it takes a lot of time. So I think for the next session I should
no,
deal with.
because
Sir?
okay, the theories of motivation questions will be there, Arjun.
Exactly, yes, sir. That's what. For next session, I plan like theories of motivation.
No, our limitation is that we have only 1 hour left because we don't have much time for them to provide.
Okay.
Because
if they're ready, I can do it now.
No, I don't know whether they will be able to see it or not. Only 36 left. How much time will it take for you to, at least if they ask, because there may be questions, case studies as well as direct questions on motivation. Motivation theories.
Half an hour more, I can discuss both the
No,
concepts.
I don't know whether you are all willing to sit for another half an hour. Hello.
Yeah, no problem, sir.
Okay, sir.
Others also. Hello. Yeah. Please.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
because
sir, we
that's
can.
a very important portion, because questions and case studies may come out of that. See, Arjun,
Yes,
next
sir.
session can be only question answers. Okay. So
obviously, yes,
so
yes, sir.
if you can cover these theories of motivation and make them clearly understand the basic concepts on that, it will be good. Thank you, Arjun.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sure, sir. I'll do it.
Most of the response is yes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. I'll do it, sir.
Yes. Right.
Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is motivation? It's like a driving force that initiates and directs behavior. It's anything which makes you do something. So performance is equal to ability into motivation. That leads to a better performance. Motivation is a kind of internal energy which drives a person to do something. Okay, you know what is motivation? If something happens externally which makes you do something, that is motivation. It can be anything. It can be money. It can be a person's, some words, encouraging words. Anything can motivate you. So the three aspects of motivation is like effort, persistence, and direction. Effort means it refers to the magnitude. What is the magnitude of or intensity of motivation? Persistence, is it existing for a longer period of time? Third is, is it in the right direction? So the three common aspects are effort, persistence, and direction. So motivation processes like physiological and psychological deficiency, need, which will drive individuals in a certain behavior and achieves a particular goal. This is the process. What is the need? What should be done? And what is achieved? And we'll right away go to the types of motivation: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic means within, okay, within the person. Extrinsic means which something has made you, has created a motivation. Extrinsic, externally something has happened which has created a motivation. Internally means which is something, an inner feeling. Intrinsic motivation. The theories, when we talk about theories, okay, the first theory of motivation is Maslow's hierarchy theory of needs. Maslow's hierarchy theory of needs. This is it. Physiological needs, the basic needs of a person. Once that is achieved, only the second need, or the second one, safety and security needs, that can be thought for. Safety and security means, you should be getting a good shelter, all that. Okay. Physiological needs, food, water, basic ones. Then the safety and security needs. And once safety and security needs has been satisfied, then you think about social needs, social recognition, all that. Okay, society, all that. And once societal needs is established, you'll think about social esteem, status, all that. And once you have a status, you'll have the next stage is self-actualization, where you realize yourself. So this is the Maslow's hierarchy theory: psychological needs, safety and security needs, social needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. Psychological needs is basic, then the safety and security, then social needs, then self-esteem, and then self-actualization. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then the next theory is Herzberg's two-factor theory. The two factors are hygiene factors and motivation factors. Hygiene factors and motivation factors. Hygiene factors is always also known as maintenance factors. Okay. Maintenance factors or hygiene factors, what are they? Company policy and administration, interpersonal relationship, supervision, money or salary, job security, status, working condition. What is within the company? All that are known as hygiene factors or maintenance factors. The next factor is motivational factors. That happens when you achieve something, achievement. The work itself is a motivation, a recognition what you got, responsibility you take up, advancement in your career, possibility of growth. These are the motivators. Okay. So Herzberg's two-factor theory is based on hygiene factors or maintenance factors and motivational factors. Okay. So according to Herzberg, motivational factors are responsible for job satisfaction, and maintenance factors are responsible for job dissatisfaction. So this is Herzberg's two-factor theory. Two-factor. What are the two factors? What are the two factors?
Maintenance factors
Maintenance and
motivation.
factors.
What comes
and
in
motivation
motivation?
factors.
Growth.
Yeah, come on. Good, come on. Achievement?
Yeah, achievement, salary, incentive.
No, not ma'am, not salary. Salary comes in maintenance factors. Okay. Look at the slide. You clear now? Maintenance factors, company policy, interpersonal relationship, all that, salary, etc. Motivators are achievement, recognition, work itself, etc. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Now, McGregor's X and Y theory. Okay, what are they? Let's see. Theory X and theory Y. Theory X says that most people prefer to be directed and are not interested in assuming responsibility. Accompanying this philosophy is the belief that work is inherently distasteful to most people and people are motivated by money and threat of punishment. Okay. Theory X says that people are not motivated. People are just motivated by, people are not motivated through, for the, due to the job and nothing. They are just motivated by money and threat of punishment. Okay. And managers who accept the theory X assume that controlling them, supervising them, all that, threatening them, etc., will create a motivation. That is theory X. Where the second theory, theory Y, this theory assumes that people are not nature lazy and unreliable. They will work positively. They will work when they are getting motivated. And the managers who accept this theory, they will create a kind of self-controlling mechanism. They'll be given freedom. They'll have a social self-esteem, etc. Okay, you'll be having your own freedom. So theory X and theory Y. McGregor's X and Y theory. Theory X says that people work just for money and fearing of punishment. So controlling them is very much necessary. But theory Y says that they are not lazy and unreliable. If they are motivated, they will work creatively. So they should be having a freedom for working. They should be having a self-control mechanism. Okay. So this is theory X and theory Y. McGregor's theory X and theory Y. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Vroom's expectancy theory. Vroom's expectancy theory. Vroom's expectancy theory, there are three main concepts in this theory. Three main concepts: valence, instrumentality, and expectancy. Valence, instrumentality, and expectancy. Valence means it is a value which you give for an outcome. For example, if you do this work successfully, you will be promoted to the managerial level. That is one reward which you are going to get. Second reward, second situation, if you do this work, you will be having a bonus of 1,000 rupees. Just that. So a better position of a manager is much valuable. So that is a value which you give for that work. Which the outcome or the reward which you will be getting is the valence or the value. Okay. So the first concept is valence, which is the value which you give for a thing, for that particular work. Second is instrumentality. Instrumentality is the belief that you perform well, that the value, it's a belief that if I do this, I'll get this. Okay. So, it's basically the a reward what has been expected. So if you expect a reward, you'll perform better. Okay. So valence. Second is instrumentality. Instrumentality means if there is instrumentality, it's a belief that a valued outcome. If you do this, I'll get this. That is instrumentality. Third one, expectancy. Expectancy means there is a probability that a particular action or effort will lead to a particular first level outcome. Okay. Expected performance. If that person is given such a reward, or if that person is assured of a reward, he will perform in this manner. So that is expected performance. So as per this theory, okay, Vroom's expectancy theory, motivational force is equal to valence, the value, expectancy, the expected performance, and the third one, instrumentality. Instrumentality means a belief of that person. If I do this, I'll get this. So Vroom's expectancy theory, valence, expectancy, and instrumentality. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Alpha's ERG theory. That ERG theory, ERG stands for existence, relatedness, and growth. Okay, that will motivate a person. Existence, relatedness, and growth. Did you see such kind of a figure in the beginning?
Maslow's theory.
Very good, very good. So, can you relate it?
The first two stages are existence.
Exactly, very good. Then
Social
then
needs
regarding
and
social, all that comes under
Relatedness.
then the last one,
self-esteem and self-acceleration.
acceleration,
Self-acceleration,
growth. Very good. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So you learn two theories at a time: Maslow hierarchy theory as well as Alperov's ERG theory. Existence, relatedness, and growth. Is that clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. McClellan's learned needs theory. McClellan's the three needs which are major motivating factors: need for achievement, need for power, need for affiliation. Need for achievement, need for power, and need for affiliation. Need for achievement means the drive to excel and succeed. So if there is a tendency to achieve more and more, okay, achievement is my if you achieve something, you'll be motivated to that level. Such a need of achievement is the first major motive. Number two, need for power. People need power to control others, to persuade others. Okay, social power or power by designation, all that. So that is the need for power. Third one, need for affiliation. That is the people need interpersonal relationship. There are different people like this. Certain people go for achievements, certain people go for power, certain people go for affiliation. Okay, so these three needs, when combined together, constitutes to McClellan's needs theory. McClellan's needs theory. So what are the three needs? Can you just remember? Recollect?
Need creation for achievements.
Power. Need for power.
Very good. Need for achievement, need for affiliation, and need for power. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So these were the theories regarding motivation. So what did we, can you just recollect all those theories? Maslow hierarchy theory, can you just come back? Hello?
Physiological needs.
Yes.
Safety and security.
Safety and
Safety,
security needs.
security,
Social.
social
Needs.
Self-action.
Self-esteem. Self-actualization.
Any doubts? Shall we move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What are these two factors?
Motivational and maintenance.
Very good, very good. Motivational factor or maintenance factors or motivational factors. So what comes in motivational factors?
Achievement.
Very good, very good, very good. Recognition. What about the maintenance factors?
Salary,
Job
administration.
Exactly.
job security, personal life.
Exactly. Very good, very good, very
Job
good. Yeah.
security.
Very good, very good. Yeah. Now, these X and Y theory, X theory talks about what?
Money and threatening
Super, very good.
punishment. X theory.
Yes. Y theory?
Why?
People are motivated.
Motivation and
Self-regulation, sir.
Self-regulation. They should be having a self-control mechanism, right? Yes, good, very good. Then, what about this Vroom's expectancy theory? The three concepts, what are they?
Balancing.
Balance means what?
Value to the
Very good, very good. Value means yes. Then, the second one.
instrumentality.
Instrumentality means what?
Reward for doing something.
Exactly. If I do this, I'll get that, right?
Something I will get.
Exactly. Last one?
expectance.
What is that?
Probability of getting.
Probability of getting. So, the performance expectation, right? Yes. Very good, very good. Then, what are these three? ERG.
Need for
No, ma'am. Just before that.
growth related
Relatedness and
Existence.
and
existence. This can be compared to which theory?
Maslow's.
Exactly. Existence, relatedness, and growth. Okay. Yeah. And the last one.
Balance needs theory.
There are three needs here. What are they?
Need for power.
Needs for power.
Power, affiliation.
Very good. Exactly. So are these theories clear for you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Once you read it, see, I must say, because look at the range of your knowledge. I just told once or twice, and you're able to recollect it so look at the capability, your own capability. Okay. And what I did now is extrinsic motivation. I gave you a appreciation externally. That is extrinsic motivation. And if you realize your own potential is what we call what motivation?
Intrinsic.
Exactly. Very good. Very good. Yes. Super. So, sir, hello, Ajay, sir.
Sir, can you repeat X and Y theory, sir?
Sure, why not? Sure. X theory means there is see, for example, a manager, okay, thinks that money, people work just for money, and people work just because of the fear of punishment. Okay. What will happen is then such a manager will always control you, they will never give you any kind of a freedom, nothing like that. So such theory is what we call X theory. Clear?
Okay.
Whereas Y theory means people, if a manager feels that a person is, people are not lazy, they are creative, and if we give you a freedom, they will work better and efficiently and creative. and this will create a better environment. So they are supposed to be given self-control mechanism. That is Y theory. Clear?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, okay.
Then it is better Y theory is. So who is the author, sir? X and Y theory.
Hello?
Sir, who introduced this theory, sir?
I didn't get you. Come on.
X and Y theory. Who introduced this theory, sir?
Author McGregor's X and Y theory.
Okay.
McGregor's X and Y theory. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other doubts?
Sir, please explain valence and instrumentality.
Valence means it is just valence means it's a value. So, ma'am, what's your name?
Sarita.
Hello.
Sarita, ma'am. If your manager says that you'll be getting 10,000 rupees extra from next month, if you as a hike in your salary, if you complete this task within a week, clear?
Yes, sir.
And that is one offer what he gives. The second offer is that if you complete this within 3 days of time, you will be promoted to the next level of managerial position. Which is valuable?
Second one.
Why?
Because the time is less.
Time is less, but the reward is more.
Yes, sir.
That is balance.
Okay.
The value what you give, right?
Okay.
Okay. Instrumentality means Sarita ma'am is having a belief that if I do this within 3 days of time, I'll be promoted to the next level. If I do this within 1 week of time, I'll be getting a hike of 10,000 rupees. Okay. That is your belief. Is that clear?
Yes.
That is instrumentality.
Okay.
Fine? Clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Yes. Any other doubts? Any other doubt? Sir, Ajay sir, hello.
Yeah.
Sir, I think I'm done with that. Like.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
hello everyone. Everyone. Just for information, we don't have our business mathematics session today. We will have it tomorrow by 8 o'clock. We will be sharing the link for that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
One more thing.